Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content.
Here we go. Hour 2 on a Monday. Matt Hasselbeck, 3 to 4 minutes out. The news of the day just changed. Brian Daboll out, fired, just like the Jets last year. Firing the head coach middle of the season, who happens to be the best coach on the staff. Not what I would have done, but it does give you a head start on the best coach available on the market. Mike McCarthy would be my guy. Offensive guy, it's an offensive league. You can go to Cooper Rush, Aaron Rodgers. You can go to Dak Prescott. I think he's a good B-plus coach. Would an A coach want that job? No. I got news for A coaches like Mike Vrabel. They don't want the Jets or the Giants. He wanted to go back to Robert Kraft. Jim Harbaugh's not leaving Michigan for the Jets or Giants. Sean Payton's not taking those jobs. What happens in the NFL is the good coaches use the Jets and the Giants, make sure everybody thinks they're interested. Then they take the better job with the better owner. But I wouldn't have fired Daboll. That's me. I'll talk to Matt Hasselbeck in a few minutes. But it is Monday. Colin right, Colin wrong, and here we go.
Where Colin was right?
I said 3 years ago, I said if Matt Stafford ends his career like I think he's going to end it, you're going to look at he and Aaron Rodgers and say, who is really better? Right now, he's the MVP. Last 2 years, 45 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and Aaron looks really old. Matt Stafford, with this coach, finally has a reasonable chance every Sunday to succeed. And there's not a better guy from the pocket in the NFL right now than Matt Stafford of the LA Rams.
Where Colin was wrong.
I defended hiring 74-year-old Pete Carroll, but Seattle's on fire since he left, and the Raiders are getting progressively worse. He pursued Geno Smith. That I don't get. Pete had a year off to reflect and modernize, and I don't know. Nothing's working. I'm not expecting you to win 8 games. Nothing looks good. The special teams, the run game, the defense, none of it looks buttoned up.
Where Colin was right?
The Niners are what I thought they were. Not as good as Seattle or the Rams. That's why I picked them for 3rd. People said, are you out of your mind? And I said, they're old, expensive, and brittle. Old players get hurt more, and it takes longer for the old players to get back. It's not Mac Jones. Mac Jones is doing fine. Don't blame Mac Jones. That's not the issue. The issue is the 49ers are an old football team, and you are seeing the results of that very old football team.
Where Colin was wrong.
Now we can show the Michael Penix video. 3 straight games, completing less than 60% of his throws. And I liked him out of college. In fact, he had 45 career starts. So my takeaway was he's going to be kind of ready to play. Boy, he misses, and he misses badly a lot. So the last 2 weeks, he's also 1 for 18 on 3rd down. So he looks uncomfortable. He's skipping a lot of balls. It doesn't look right. And I got to take a wrong on this. It's like a J.J. McCarthy. It just doesn't feel like the right guy.
Where Colin was right?
I said a couple years ago, John Snyder is as good as any personnel guy in the NFL. And since he and Pete Carroll have separated, and it is now his roster, I think there's an argument this is the best and fastest roster in the NFL. Turn the sound down and watch the Seahawks. He also got a 3rd-round pick for Geno Smith. That's great GMing. He's also paying Sam Darnold less than Taysom Hill makes as a cap hit. That is great GMing. Right now, this roster is as good as any in the league, and that's because the last 2 years, John Snyder has totally controlled personnel.
Where Colin was wrong.
I said the Dallas Mavericks, I said they're going to make the Western Conference Finals. They are now the worst shooting team in the West, 2nd worst in the league. Offensively, they're brutal. They don't have a true point guard. They don't really have a leader, maybe Kyrie Irving when he comes back. They're very directionless. They're either too young or kind of old. So the only team in the league that's worst offensively is the Pacers. Boy, did I miss on the Dallas Mavericks.
Where Colin was right.
Everybody bailed on Kalen DeBoer. Oh, Kalen DeBoer is no Nick Saban. Well, he's beaten Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Vandy, and Missouri. 4 straight ranked matchups that he's won. And, you know, it takes, even if you replace Nick Saban, you got to build your own culture. And nobody's discussing the truth is in the NIL world, Bama doesn't have a lot of money. Ohio State's got better players than Alabama, and it's not particularly close. Last year, Ohio State also had better players. So they are not the Saban Crimson Tide, and Nick Saban saw that train coming, and he went to broadcasting. So Kalen DeBoer, they got Oklahoma, they'll win, a directional school, and then Auburn. He's going to make the playoffs.
Where Colin was right.
I worried about hiring 2 coordinators in-house. Dan Campbell admitted yesterday he took over the play calling. He didn't do that with Ben Johnson. So when you hire in-house and don't have a global search, you may get a really good candidate, but you're not getting the best candidates. I thought they played it safe. They played it comfortable. And the NFL is a league of discomfort. So, and Dan Campbell soft sold it. You know, I mean, it was a collaborative effort. He took over play calling from the OC. That's not what he wanted to do at the start of the season. Colin right, Colin wrong on a Monday with that Matt Hasselbeck, 18 years in the NFL, joining us live.
Hey, yeah, we put up 45 points, almost 600 yards. Yeah, I was the play caller. Well, you know.
So
wow, it's tough.
I don't like firing the best coach in the staff mid-season. If you're going to fire a coach, get to the end of the season, because I always worry about the substitute teacher law. Everybody loves the interim. Everybody plays great with the interim. They win 3 games, and everybody goes, hire the interim. Again, that's not the best coach. It's the interim. I don't like firing Brian Daboll now, who had a good relationship with Jackson Dart. What say you?
Yeah, listen, I get that point, but there's a lot more that goes into this. And, you know, the losing record, I think 20-40 over his career and stuff like that, the embarrassing game management loss this last week. I don't think it's those things. I think that concussion protocol mix up, you know, I don't think that's not the New York Giants. They don't want to be known for stuff like that on the fringes. And I think that played into it. And I think the bigger thing is just that your star quarterback, your prized possession, he's been in that blue tent way too much. I think he's been evaluated for concussions 4 times since he's been playing recently. And they're running him the way that they were running like Saquon Barkley. You know, they're all this quarterback run game. I get it. You get an advantage in the run game. It's working. At the same time, you got to have a little bit more care for the future of the franchise. And that's exactly what that quarterback is. And I think those things also played into this thing. And just one other thing. If you think the fact that Daniel Jones having the success that he's having with the Indianapolis Colts doesn't play into this decision as well, you're crazy. Like this absolutely plays into the decision.
Well, that's interesting because Darnold's tearing it up in Seattle, and everybody in Minnesota is going, Kevin, why did you let him walk? I mean,
it's not so much about just letting somebody walk. Like you're having closed door discussions and saying like, you know, what's our problem? What's our thing? And like, maybe you're saying like, we just don't have the right quarterback. He's just not elite. We need someone who's really like clutch, you know, like whatever the things are that were said in closed door meetings. And then all of a sudden he goes and he's having the kind of year that he's having with the Indianapolis Colts. It's like, maybe you were wrong about that. So I think it all adds up. And, but again, I think how they have kind of handled, like, do we trust you with our prized possession in Jackson Dart? You know, they're not so sure. And Mike Kafka, listen, he's a guy that he gets named for head coaching interviews every offseason. It feels like he's been with Andy Reid. He's kind of seen behind the curtain there, Coach Patrick Mahomes. Like, so I think there's like an element there too, where it's like, well, let's see what this guy has before we go into our coaching search.
Okay, so I am watching. I said I literally feel like I have a beat on everybody in the league except Pittsburgh. They can hammer the Patriots and hammer the Colts and lose to the Bengals and get blown out 3 times. And I said I'm going to theorize here, but they're the second oldest team in the league. And whereas Seattle is young and feels like they're ascending, old teams, as the weather gets cold, guys get hurt, longer to get back. That's the only thing I can figure out, because I honestly do not know game to game, week to week, what I get with Pittsburgh. And I feel like everybody else in the league, I got a little bit of a beat on. What did you make of last night?
Yeah, I don't know if Pittsburgh's really that good. I mean, you say that they beat down the Colts and beat down the Patriots. I mean, I think they had like maybe 6 turnovers in one of those games and won by 7. So, like, I'm not sure if they're really sure who they are. Their defense was really poor early. Then they put it together, started playing great, created those turnovers, like I said. But, I think this offense looks like Aaron Rodgers with the New York Jets again. They abandon the run game once they get down inside the 10-yard line. It's a lot of check with me type stuff. The run is there, and Aaron's trying to use his all-world arm and, kind of has that arm arrogance in the red zone with the guys like DK Metcalf. Man, just hand the ball off sometimes. You got numbers, and that's who the Pittsburgh Steelers want to be. That's who they've been for a long time. So they got to be careful, because for a while it looked like they were a playoff team running away with this division. But, Cincinnati's not that far back. Joe Burrow's coming back. Lamar Jackson's coming back. I would say Pittsburgh, they got to figure out an identity and do it quick.
So, I said one of the reasons I think, the NFL is a league of discomfort. Somebody's always hurt. And it's also a league in which there's a Rubik's Cube feel to the NFL. There's always a problem, and you got to solve it quickly. You don't get an off season. You got to solve stuff in 1 or 2 weeks. Kansas City, Josh Simmons out a month, left tackle. Receiver goes down. Puka's hurt. Sean McVay's like 4 tight ends in London. That's the league. You have to solve issues. With Buffalo, it took them years to figure out running back before they drafted James Cook. Now their passing game the last year is a mess. Like, I feel like McDermott is a good coach, but in a league of offensive coaches, Matt, I think the offensive guys solve stuff in season better than defensive coaches with quarterbacks. That's my take. Tomlin, I've been waiting for the run game to work 7 years. So I look at McDermott and that performance. I'm like, is it possible? Sometimes not every coach that's fired is bad. Mike McCarthy wasn't bad. Do you keep McDermott forever?
Well, I mean, you bring up some good points. And I mean, even the game last night, you saw the LA Chargers working around their injury situation, and getting creative. I think the problem for the Buffalo Bills, though, is that, they're not very good on defense. And I've been saying this. I mean, I feel bad when I say it, because, like, I've been saying it so long and so much. Like, last year, their defense let their offense down. This year, to me, their defense is letting their offense down. And, people are going to say, like, oh, they picked off Tua twice. Like, those are like punts. Those are just like throw up. Like, when you look at what they are in critical moments, they don't stop the run. They don't make plays on 3rd down. They don't make plays in the red zone. And, I think they just help, they think that, Superman's going to help them out on the other side of the ball. So, I listen, having gone up against Sean McDermott many times when he was a coordinator, he was a very, very difficult coach to go up against. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him as a coach. However, when I turn on the film and I watch their defense play, I just don't see championship level defense coming out of there. I didn't see it last year. I don't see it this year. They don't tackle well. You got D linemen using spin moves on run plays. I don't like what I see there. And part of the reason that the New England Patriots look like they're going to win the AFC East.
Are you I watched Drake May yesterday. I mean, I thought they would be a really interesting team, but they're not even, they just started playing Kyle Williams, who is a burner, and Travion Henderson. So, Vrabel's like, listen, you got to learn the playbook. You better block. And I can see, Vrabel likes physical teams. I can see him not, Kyle's a thin guy. You're not blocking enough, or Travion Henderson. Like, I get that. So those are really good players who yesterday really surfaced as potential stars. How surprised are you? Go back to your second year in the league. The game looks pretty easy for Drake. Doesn't it? Easier than it should?
Well, listen, Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels have done an incredible job with Drake May, but it's not just Drake May. Those guys you mentioned, Travion Henderson started the year 3rd string. Kyle Williams was like a 3rd stringer, like a committee. They're getting major contributions out of a guy the Bills let go in Matt Collins. And I think it all works together. I think Drake May is still a young quarterback learning, which is wild to think because he's playing so great. Travion Henderson's a future star. Reminds me of Christian McCaffrey. But Vrabel took this approach where he basically got rid of every captain that the Patriots ever had and said, hey, we're going to take a long-term approach for sustained success here in New England. That's why it's ironic that they're doing so well and they're winning as much as they are so far. And it hasn't been like, hey, this is all on you, Stephon Diggs. Not Mac Jones. Drake May, he's been spreading the ball around much more than quarterbacks in the past have done for the Patriots. It's been wide receiver by committee. It's been a little bit of running back by committee, and then Hunter Henry at tight end. So I think the future is really bright. I just don't think people thought it was going to be this soon.
So I think both of us agreed through the first 5 or 6 weeks, it was more Ben Johnson than Caleb. But I said before, there's certain things about Caleb that are true. He's really durable. He doesn't go to the tent, okay? He doesn't throw a lot of picks. He does hold the ball too long, but I think some of that is born from, I'll just escape. Like, I'm going to hold it another beat. I watched him yesterday in crappy weather, and I was like, I thought at the end of the game, I thought his last, 3 possessions, I was really, really impressed. Top to bottom, your sense on what you've seen during this winning streak?
Yeah, I think you probably like Caleb more than me. I think you're ready to. Yeah, I've heard you say some things that maybe you're just trying for content for when Colin was wrong later. But listen, he's a young player, and so he's done a great job of improving on the things that he needed to improve on. Last year, I got on here every week, and I said he's got bad body language. He holds onto the ball too long. He takes too many sacks. Stuff like that. Ben Johnson gets hired. He basically said the exact same things, and Caleb, to his credit, has fixed them. He took no sacks again this past week. He's finding checkdowns. It's not check down Charlie. He's taking shots down the field. But if it's not there, on rhythm, protect the team, protect the offensive line, he's getting the ball out. I think Ryan Poles has done an incredible job of basically surrounding him with great talent, especially up front. I mean, they bring in Ozzie Trapillo as an extra tight end for more pass protection, selling the run. He's got time. And then you put him in the shotgun game. Most of his success is under center, play action. Shotgun game in 2 minutes, he's done a great job. So listen, am I going to crown him like you are because he beat the New York Giants, which just fired their coach? No, I'm not. But Ben Johnson, like I've said, he is the real deal. And if Caleb buys in and allows himself to be fully coached by this coach, he'll have a long future in this division, on this team, and a team that's been starving for great quarterback play.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little hot on him right now. That's probably fair.
You just need more content. Are you trying to even out the scales? Yeah, too much when Colin was right. You just needed a little more Colin wrong for later. I get it. Smart. That's next level. That's you. It's like those pool players who they're not just trying to get the certain ball in, they're trying to set up their next shot. I like that.
I wish I was that smart. I'm watching the Seahawks, and I know Pete and John Snyder were not on the same page about 3 years ago, and then Pete leaves. And then John, this is his roster. And the last couple of drafts, I've come on that Monday after the draft, and I've been like, man, that's a good draft. And then they get Sam Darnold, who has less of a cap hit than Taysom Hill. They get a 3rd-round pick for Geno. And I guess my point is, when I watch Seattle play, and if I turn the sound down, Matt, that's the fastest team in the league. They have athletes everywhere. I'm not sure what the hole is. Like with Philadelphia, I can say, well, they got an A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts issue. I don't love their corners. I don't see anything with the Seahawks I'm not supposed to like. What do you make of it?
Well, I'll tell you, the stuff you didn't like early in the year, that they were calling for certain people to get cut, traded, benched, all that stuff. Those people have been getting coached, and they're playing well. I mean, this Seahawks team has been impressive in all 3 phases. I mean, I think they've scored 30 points 3 times in the first half of a game this year. So what's been ironic about them, they're unbelievable on the road, and they have struggled a little bit at home. They lost to Tampa at home in a game that they should have won. So doing what they did yesterday at home, I think sends a message of hey, we are a team improving on our mistakes. And Mike McDonald, John Schneider, like you said, they're in lockstep. I also think that one of the best things I could say about this team is that this is a team that the players feel like we care about the success of this team more than our coaching staff. And that's good teams. The coaches care more than the players. Great teams, the players care more than the coaches. And I think that's what you'd find in Seattle.
All right, let's circle back. Brian Daboll's gone. I don't love doing it now. And it's a great point. Mike Kafka's been around this league, Northwestern guy, if I recall, so a pretty smart quarterback at Northwestern. You're okay with it because of Kafka. Like, if they didn't have him, you'd be a little unsettled, but you do think they have a guy in the building that they should want to watch for a couple months. That's your take.
Well, listen, they're going to do a full search on anybody on the planet that they think can help get it right. But they have this guy this is like a little bit of an audition. I mean, he's the guy for the last, 3 or 4 years. His name surfaces every time because they think that he's a great quarterback whisperer. Let's see. His personality is completely different than Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll's where's his emotion? Like, you see it, you know it. Mike Kafka's not like that. So it's an opportunity for the Giants to see what they have. Much like when you start a young quarterback late in the year, you're saying, like, we need to find out what we have in this guy to decide if we need to go out and draft the quarterback of the future, or if we already have him in the building and we don't know it. That's kind of what I think about this situation here. And whoever they hire is going to have to be somebody that knows what they're doing when it comes to Jackson Dart, or at least can hire the person who knows what they're doing when it comes to Jackson Dart.
You know, UCLA is going to move their football games to SoFi. They're leaving the Rose Bowl. What do you make of that?
Allegedly, a little controversial right now. I was at the Rose Bowl yesterday. Besides the hour-and-a-half traffic to get up there, it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do there, but it's a tricky situation, Colin. Tricky.
In LA, it takes an hour and a half to get to the grocery store. An hour and a half's a breeze. Great seeing you, buddy.
All right, see ya.
Love Matt Hasselbeck on our show. Gives me crap. That's exactly, I like it from him. From J-Mac, it gets really irritating, but from Hasselbeck, I can take it.
By the way, that UCLA, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a fascinating story, and it is super smart of UCLA to move their games to SoFi. You would agree with that, right?
I don't love it.
What? Are you out of your mind? Have you been to SoFi versus where they currently play their games? Colin, so many more people will go to the games at SoFi. It's one of the best stadiums in the country right now. It's so new. It is a great venue. I think it's a great attracting.
Well, it's closer. It's 10 miles.
Recruiting tool.
Well, it's 10 miles from the campus, and the Rose Bowl is almost 30. So UCLA football's broken, so they have to do something to unbreak it. I mean, it's a broken program financially. They can't figure it out. It's like one of the lowest NILs in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to figure out a way to solve a broken football financial issue. Yeah.
They sound like a program that's ready to go get a big name coach. Hey, we're moving our games to SoFi. We're relevant. They're striving for relevance. Colin, I think I'm not going to compare it to other jobs in the country, but right now, I think that job is on the uptick right now. They're going to get someone young and smart, and UCLA's on the rise for sure.
All right.
Better job than the New York Giants, that's for sure.
Wait, hold on. It says here, Westwood to SoFi. It's 23 miles? Really?
I can't confirm that. I only go by Apple Maps. I don't know where anything is. I just put
How far is Westwood to the Rose Bowl? Not that the national audience cares. I thought it was a lot farther.
I think they care more about that than the Chicago Bears offense, but I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. This is that golden time of the year when it's not just pro football, NBA, college football, college hoops, hockey, all share the stage. There's always something to bet on. If you haven't tried your first bet on Hard Rock Bet yet, there's still time to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. All you have to do is place $5 bet. That's it, $5. If it hits, you not only get your winnings, but $150 in extra bonus bets. And if you're looking for an edge before you lock in, check out the Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub. Trends, it's loaded with streaks, stats to help guide your picks. So numbers don't lie, neither does the data in there. The Hard Rock Bet app sportsbook, it's the only legal sportsbook for whenever you're in Florida. It's also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, coming soon to more states. Plus, Hard Rock Bet offers new promos every single day. So whenever you're listening, just open the app, check out what you've got any day of the week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit.
All right, welcome back. Brian Daboll has been let go by the New York Giants. Mike Kafka, quarterback coach, quarterback whisperer, probably takes the reins. I don't like firing coaches mid-season. Mike McCarthy would get a call from me. The Giants have done a lot of this coordinator stuff. What worked? Vrabel in New England, proven head coach. Sean Payton in Denver, proven head coach. Jim Harbaugh, Chargers, proven head coach. The only thing that worked, Mike McCarthy, Green Bay to Dallas, proven head coach. Won a lot of games. You can keep doing this coordinator thing. It is a 50-50 at best shot. For more, J-Mac with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
All right, Colin, I've been chasing some numbers on this Daboll stuff. Giants fans are thrilled for some reason that Brian Daboll is fired. Listen, obviously the wins haven't been there. Starting 2-8, 3 straight years, not great. Blowing 4 double-digit leads, not great. But remember, Colin, this is a team that had a 5.5 win total in the preseason in Vegas. 5.5.
Yep.
There's not a lot of talent here. And, oh, by the way, when you get a double-digit lead, that means, man, you're doing some things right. Brian Daboll's doing things right with a rookie quarterback, okay, in Denver, which is an 8-2 team. In Chicago, which is a playoff team.
So it tells you the game plans. He's breaking down film.
Exactly.
They're taking leads. They can't close the leads out.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of reasons. They lost their star back. Jackson Dart gets beat up, and they run him early. They may not want to run him as much late. They've also had offensive line injuries. So his scheming, his game plans are very, very good. It's an incredibly limited roster where the star offensive players all get banged up.
Yeah. And remember, this was supposed to be a great defense. Remember the hype around Abdul Carter, Burns, Lawrence? They've got all these guys. Kayvon Thibodeau, all these dudes. They currently are 27th in the NFL in EPA per play defensively. That's horrific. If anything, I would have fired the defensive coordinator, not Daboll. Because again, Colin, if I can get a quarterback that's a rookie to pair with a coach and get double-digit leads against Dallas and all these teams, I'm signing up for that. That means, like you said, the game plans are there. I don't know if Daboll's going to be a great head coach again. You and I seem to think maybe he gets interviews for head coaching jobs. Like, I don't know. Does Tennessee turn to Brian Daboll to fix Cam Ward? I don't have an answer. Like, is Tennessee an attractive job?
Well, I think in a place like Miami, where he's the opposite personality of Mike McDaniels.
Gruff.
He's a gruff, accountability, New York. A lot of New Yorkers move down to Miami anyway. So he'll go down to Miami. He's intense. He's been a head coach. He's worked in a bigger media market. He's dealt with a young quarterback. Because I think Miami, if I was Brian Daboll or his agent, I would talk to the Dolphins and go, there was one guy that loved Jackson Dart, Brian Daboll. The GM didn't love him. The owner had mixed feelings. The analyst didn't like him. He was the one guy that said, give me Jackson Dart over Cam Ward. Well, isn't Miami going to draft a quarterback?
Well, that's interesting. Would Daboll want to work with Tua? I don't know. Is Miami going to be bad enough? They got a great win yesterday. I don't know if we'll do anything with that. It's an interesting scenario, but I think you're onto something with Daboll. Remember when he was introduced as a Giants coach, he had this very I'm going to get in my truck and I'm going to drive to work and I'm going to put on my hard hat. That was the vibe, and Giants fans loved it. And now he's going to go down to South Beach and toughen up what's perceived to be a soft team. I think you could be onto something. All right, let's move on to Monday Night Football. Big one, Colin. Jordan Love and the Packers hosting the Philadelphia Eagles off a bye. Former Packer Clay Matthews, he's chiming in, thinks that if the Packers are going to bounce back, Matt LaFleur needs to hand the keys over to Jordan Love and let him do his thing. Colin, you think that's going to be enough? By the way, there is some money coming in on the Eagles today.
No,
Packers down to 1.5.
No, I like Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia, by getting Jalen Phillips, it's not Micah Parsons' acquisition, but he's a really good pass rusher. I think Philadelphia at the trade deadline made moves that you'll be able to see very quickly to help. I think this team found itself, and I think Philadelphia's got a better roster off a bye, little healthier. I like Philadelphia here. I know the hot pick is Green Bay. I'm on the Eagles tonight.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is overreaction to the Panthers loss, which we called here on the show a trap game. and I think the real Green Bay shows up tonight. I don't like the injury report for the Packers. Have you seen their wide receivers are dinged up?
Yep,
Golden
and Kraft is
go.
gone. And Kraft is gone for the year. So
Yeah, Tucker Kraft gone. I think, and this is my fantasy team talking, Christian Watson, big plays, over the top. Jordan Love to Christian Watson. I'll take the Packers in a close one, Colin. Right. Final story. We're actually allowed to talk about the Indianapolis Colts on the show now. Yeah, I know you woke up early for the Berlin matchup. Listen, the Colts look bad for 3 quarters. And then Jonathan Taylor took over. Oh, my gosh. 83-yard touchdown run. This was spectacular. The clueless Falcons thought he was bottled up, and Taylor bounces outside, says, Terrell, goodbye. He's gone.
What was
186 yards, Colin.
First half, Daniel Jones, once again, the fumble issue surfaced last 2 weeks. A lot of giveaways. I think it's 7 giveaways last 2 weeks. So the Daniel Jones in New York, remember, that was the one thing that Brian Daboll had to solve, is that Daniel had a fumble issue. And they kind of righted the ship. He goes to Stike, and everybody's like, oh, it's a new Daniel Jones. Yes, last 2 weeks, that's the Daniel Jones that was losing games in New York. Ball security has once again surfaced. Eventually, everything regresses to the mean. Like, that's who Daniel Jones is. So I watched yesterday, and I'm like, okay, this was the New York Giants issue. Ball security, fumbles.
So my daughter's volleyball team had this big meeting yesterday, and of course, I'm watching the game on my phone sitting in the back. And these dads are like, what's wrong with the Colts, J-Mac? And I say, guys, I think the Shane Steichen offense has been solved. 2 weeks in a row now that Daniel Jones is on his back in the pocket and turning the ball over. And the Falcons, I think they got him 5 times, Colin.
6.
They sacked him.
I think it was 6 or 7. Yeah.
So 6, 7. Here we go. So that's back-to-back weeks where teams are getting to Jones, and he's flustered and turning it over.
Yep.
This week, Jonathan Taylor bails him out with an incredible running performance. Now Colts go on a bye after the Berlin trip. I wonder if Steichen will solve some stuff. Figure out, hey, what's going on with they're going to have to simplify the offense for Jones.
They're the best team in that division. They have the best roster in that division. I think they have the best coach in that division. They're going to win that division. I think there's a ceiling. You'll see that ceiling when they face a Herbert or a Drake May.
Look on the screen who they face after the bye.
Yeah, Mahomes.
Andy Reid and Spagnuolo. You don't think Spagnuolo is one of the best defensive minds in the game? That is a huge test for the Colts. And then after that, the Houston Texans defense, which is very rambunctious on the front line with Will Anderson and Hunter.
Yeah, at Seattle, all of a sudden. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Niners will be healthier.
Do the Colts win a playoff game, yes or no?
No. But they win the division. I think Daniel Jones, they've had so much chaos at quarterback. Their takeaway is, he's fine. We will get a reasonable contract, and we could draft somebody else if we want. But I think one of the things that is so clear in this league, what you don't want is chaos at quarterback. Daniel Jones is not chaos. He's not top 10, but he's somewhere between 12 and 16, maybe.
This season, so they would likely host a team like Kansas City, unless KC wins the division, or Buffalo. And I think that's a tough matchup. So the Colts then, Colin, would have gone all in for Daniel Jones, Sauce Gardner, given up their future picks, and lose in the first round. And then Daniel Jones is going to be like, hey, I need to get paid. There are some troubling clouds ahead for the Indianapolis Colts. We'll see.
J-Mac with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Well, there are 2 teams where there are no clouds on the horizon. That's next. It's the Herd. Poor Northwestern had to face USC at the Collie. No match. We always say this. It doesn't take long in any field to see great. Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, MVPs in their second year. Joe Burrow, second year, Super Bowl. And we don't even know if he has the right coach. My rule is if you got the right coach or at least a super strong coordinator, hopefully both, you'll be able to see by the second year if guy's going to be a legend. That looks like Drake May in New England. They don't have a number 1 receiver. Running back by committee. Offensive line solid. Tight end, I like Hunter Henry. and he is spinning it. I watched him yesterday. Todd Bowles, one of the best defensive minds in football, had 2 weeks. They were off a bye. 2 weeks to prep for him. This kid can spin it. And this is a young emerging team. Kyle Williams, they haven't played a lot. Travion Henderson's been running back by committee. Those are stars. They haven't played a ton. Vrabel's trying to work him into the system. So, I mean, all I know is I've watched him go on the road and beat Josh Allen and go on the road and beat and outplay Baker Mayfield. And Todd Bowles had 2 weeks to come up with a game plan for this young guy. And we watched what Belichick did to Sam Darnold. We know young quarterbacks against elite defensive coaches can struggle. Yeah, that's not it. So I picked them as my double their win total team. I think they're going to triple it, and that's caught me off guard. The other team that has nothing to worry about is Seattle. It's a great story. So the last couple years, Pete Carroll was in Seattle. He and John Snyder were not right. Snyder almost left 4 years ago to be the GM of Detroit. The Allen family paid him. He stayed. It is now John Snyder's drafts and roster the last 2.5 years. He's built a monster. He got a third-round pick for Geno. Sam Darnold is now less of a cap hit than Taysom Hill. They don't miss on draft picks. Every position. Then at the trade deadline, Rashid Shaheed, who gets to now work again with his coordinator in New Orleans last year. I mean, turn the sound down. This team, I think, is the fastest team in the league. They have taken 35-0 and 28-0 leads the last 2 weeks in the first half. It gets sloppy second half. It's hard to motivate guys. Here's Sam Darnold on another MVP level first half performance.
It's, a great team win. I thought offensively we were, really efficient in the first half. Second half, got the run game going a little bit. Third quarter was a little sloppy, obviously, with the turnovers. And we've got to clean that up, obviously. But, to be able to, end the game on our terms in 4-minute situation, running the football out, that's how you want to end every single game.
And there's no fool's gold here. Drake May is not doing dink and dunk. He is second in the NFL in yards per attempt. He's throwing the ball down the field. Sam Darnold, no dink and dunk, throwing the ball down the field. And in both cases, two of the best young offensive players for the Patriots, Kyle Williams and Travion Henderson, they're kids. And Seattle's offense, second youngest in the league. So you got two young star quarterbacks surrounded by all sorts of ascending young talent, meaning New England and Seattle, this is the beginning. These are great, great personnel people, very strong leaders and defensive head coaches, and the right offensive coordinators. So Brian Daboll, the news of the day, it broke late first hour of the herd. Brian Daboll's been let go. Don't like firing coaches, especially best coach on the staff. Middle of a season, but back-to-back years in New York, Jets and Giants do it. There's a lot of reasons why they did it. Some of it is he keeps blowing leads. The blue tent circus with Jackson Dart a few weeks ago. Here's Hasselbeck on the thoughts on what happened today.
Your star quarterback, your prized possession, he's been in that blue tent way too much. I think he's been evaluated for concussions 4 times since he's been playing recently. And they're running him the way that they were running like Saquon Barkley. They're all this quarterback run game. I get it. You get an advantage in the run game. It's working. At the same time, you got to have a little bit more care for the future of the franchise. One other thing, if you think the fact that Daniel Jones having the success that he's having with the Indianapolis Colts doesn't play into this decision as well, you're crazy.
Now, the Colts have a much better roster. The Colts between Pierce and Pittman, Warren, Jonathan Taylor. The Giants used to have a running back like Jonathan Taylor. They let him go to the rival Eagles. So Indianapolis has a tremendous roster. Outside of the secondary, where they tried to solve it with Sauce Gardner, which I defend, there's a reason Daniel Jones is cleaning up. It's not just Shane Steichen. Offensive line for the Colts last week was rated number 1. Their tight end is a Pro Bowler as a rookie. Jonathan Taylor right now is the best running back in the league. So Daniel Jones is the beneficiary of a tremendous roster. We've been on this for 2 years. Colts roster's fine. They just didn't have a guy competent enough to complete 60% of the throws. So you can throw Daboll under a bus, but Neighbors hurt. Scatterbo hurt. Andrew Thomas is, excellent left tackle, banged up a lot. And I think Daboll got into a situation was Jackson Dart's confident and athletic. I'm going to run him. What else do we have here? I mean, they don't have a 1 or a 2 receiver. We said this, the downside to having a coach in the hot seat like Eberflus last year or Brian Daboll this year, they're coaching to win games. They're going to do whatever it takes. Like, I get it. You're trying to save your job. Yep. And so he looks at it and he's like, Jackson Dart's my best athlete. I'm going to move him down the field. And he got banged up again. So, I can sympathize. I think Daboll in Miami, I think Lane Kiffin and Brian Daboll, stronger personalities, more alpha than McDaniel, feel like the fits to me.
How about this one, Colin? Usually I don't read my mentions on social media. Somebody hit me with, oh, yeah, you know where Brian Daboll was before the Buffalo Bills, right? I look it up. Alabama Crimson Tide, 2017. You remember that year? Yeah, that was Jalen Hurts, the starter. Tua takes over. Brian Daboll calling plays all season. And then I looked it up. Daboll has a history of saying great things about Tua. I believe Brian Daboll will probably get the first or second interview with Tua in Miami.
I don't think it's a bad hire.
No, not at all.
I don't. Been in New York.
He knows his skill set. He was with him in college.
Miami can be a loud, chippy, harsh media market. New York is. Philadelphia is. I think Daboll with Miami is in play. Robert Griffin III, Fox Sports NFL and college football analyst, 8 years in the NFL. Heisman Trophy winner. We love having him on the show, and he's joining us after a wild, wild weekend for the 2 best quarterbacks, Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza. We'll get to that. We will get to that. I want to start with the Brian Daboll firing. Okay. What I don't like about it is Jackson Dart is your guy. They have a great relationship. Just let it play out. You're not a playoff team. Let it play out for the year. Then, if it's Kafka, if it's Mike McCarthy, whatever, your takeaway on firing a coach now with a very suboptimal roster, Scatterbo's hurt, Neighbors can't stay healthy. Mm-hmm. What do you, Matt Hasselbeck said, bring Kafka in for 6 games, 7 games. Let him get trial run. Where do you land on that?
Yeah, I think they need to get rid of everybody. I don't love the fact that they fired Brian Daboll at this point in the season. You're 2-8. Normally when coaches get fired in season, it's because you already know the guy that you want to go get and you want to get ahead of that, or you're thinking it's going to spark the team. This team is out of the playoffs, essentially. Like, they're not going to turn this around, go undefeated down the stretch and find a way to sneak in. So I don't love that part of it. But what I really hate is that they attached a rookie quarterback to a head coach and a GM that were on the hot seat again. And I watched this with Chicago, and I brought this up, and I caught a lot of flack for it, Colin, because I said that I didn't think that the Bears should connect Caleb Williams to Matt Eberflus, who was a head coach on the hot seat. Right. Because then you put your young quarterback in a situation where he's going to have his second head coach and his second play caller in his second year. Right. And the biggest thing for young guys is stability. So now you sit here, and I didn't know what the Giants were doing in the offseason when they brought in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and then went and drafted Jackson Dart. But here we are. So I think the only rightful decision for them to make now is to go hire Lane Kiffin as head coach, because that's the only guy that knows Jackson Dart better than any other coach in the NFL and is going to be able to get the best out of him to where Dart isn't going to have to now go into a new situation and learn a whole new terminology and a whole new way of doing things. Kiffin knows him better than anybody. Also, you know why? That's a great idea. I had Kiffin in Miami, but Lane's been a head coach, USC, Ole Miss, NFL. When you try to go, it's hard to be a head coach. To go to New York and be a first-time head coach, the talk radio, it's the fans, it's hard. So that is really, that's a great idea. I want to ask you, Caleb has been the opposite of J.J. McCarthy. Caleb's great late, J.J. early, J.J. right on the first drive. What is your takeaway on Caleb's performance during this winning streak? Kind of it unlocks later in the game. Are you okay with that? I am okay with it because it's really about Caleb and Ben Johnson finding a way to win. And, I listen to what all these guys say because you can hear how they really feel in what they're saying after the games. And Caleb Williams talked about Ben Johnson, and he said, you know what? We're like a two-punch tandem. And the trust of the guys in the locker room and the coaching staff has been a real big thing for them. He talked about how Ben Johnson's information that he's providing him and giving him, helping him in preparation, has gone a long way with him to be effective at the end of games. And what that is to say is, if you remember last year, there's the article came out about how Matt Eberflus and the staff weren't really teaching Caleb Williams how to study in the NFL, how to break down NFL defenses and how to do those different things. He's getting that now from Ben Johnson. And it makes it to where he trusts what he sees when he's on the field. Sometimes when you go into an environment that you don't really know, Colin, and you don't really know what you're supposed to be seeing, it's really hard to pull that trigger. Caleb is doing that, especially in critical moments. So I really believe that him and Ben Johnson are winning, and I know that the teams that they've beat over the last 6 weeks, I think they've won 6 of the last 7, have a combined record of 15, 33, and 1. But in the NFL, you never apologize for winning games. And winning games is really hard. So they're building their relationship by winning the games in front of them, and I couldn't be happier for them.
I said earlier today, I figured out every team in the league. It took me 10 weeks, except Pittsburgh. I don't know what I get. I don't know what I get week to week, half to half. Clobbered New England, drubbed the Colts, lost to the Bengals, blown out by the Chargers, Green Bay. If you ever been on a team, usually you get a sense what a team is. Now, everybody has a stinker, but you kind of get a sense of what a team is. What does it tell you that Pittsburgh week to week is a totally different team? Energy, focus, production, performance. Why?
Yeah, Colin, this is the first time I've ever felt like the Pittsburgh Steelers don't have an identity.
Wow.
Right. Normally, when you think of the Steelers, you think they're going to run the football and they're going to play great defense. Well, they can't run the football. And on defense, they're ranked 30th in the NFL against the pass. So their defense isn't great. They don't have a consistent identity week in and week out. And part of me thinks it is because there might be a little bit of conflict in the play calling. I watched them on 4th and goal, and Aaron Rodgers threw that back shoulder fade, or what looked like a fade, to DK Metcalf. And it looked like he signaled that to him, or was a decision that he made. But he had Pat Freiermuth coming wide open right around the first down marker, which would have put them at 1st and goal. But he didn't go there. And when I watch some of the tags that they run, Rodgers is notorious for adding tags to run plays and being able to have the flexibility to do what he wants in those situations. I don't know if there's a complete trust there between Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers when it comes to the play calling and how they're executing the offense. And that's a problem because Rodgers has said it. He needs to play better. He knows that. He's a Hall of Famer. They brought him in there to steady the ship. But if they don't have an identity offensively on how they're going to attack defenses week in and week out, they can never build on anything. And that's why they're having so much inconsistency.
That's why we bring you on the show. That was really good. I got to ask you 2 college things because you were a Heisman winner. There's certainly an argument all these guys should come back. But I'm watching Mendoza make those throws on that last drive on the road. Robert, those are Sunday throws. That kid is a big kid with a big arm. And if you're going to be the number 1 pick, you probably got to come out. And then Dante Moore in terrible Iowa weather is making a throw up the right sideline. You're like, let's talk both those guys. I think you have to come out if you're the 1st or 2nd pick.
I agree.
Let's talk Mendoza first and then Dante Moore. What do you see from those 2?
Yeah, first thing I see from Fernando Mendoza is his ability to command a room. Like when this guy talks, I think this past weekend he said, I'm willing to die on the field for my teammates. Okay. Well, tell me an offensive lineman or a coach or a GM that's not going to hear that and be like, I don't want that guy. They would all want that guy because he seems to be all about ball. And the drive was super impressive in his ability to make those big time NFL throws with pressure in his face. But I was even more impressed with the last one for the touchdown. I know it was an amazing catch by Omar Cooper Jr., but the fact that Mendoza have made that throw in that moment, literally getting, his face knocked off and just gets up and walks off like it's nothing. That, to me, it was his Heisman moment, 100%. But it was also the moment that every NFL scout is going to look at and say, that's my quarterback.
Yeah,
I get it. He's got all the measurables. He's got all the intangibles.
Yeah. And then Dante Moore played in lousy weather. He moves better. Yeah. He's just slick. He is a 2025 NFL quarterback. And he's supposed to be the nicest, most humble kid. What do you see with him?
Yeah, I think for Dante Moore, it's everything that Mendoza has that Dante doesn't, he makes up for with his playmaking ability. I think Mendoza's got the big arm, the big body, the frame, and he's got the toughness. Dante's got all that in a little bit of a smaller package. But when I watch him throw, because I'm calling their game this week with Jason Benetti and Alexa Landis-Story against Minnesota, when you watch him throw, it's just like the ball always gets to the right place. And I'm going to say this, and maybe people might get mad at me about it, but he reminds me of if you put Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders in the same body. That is what he has, because for Dylan Gabriel there in Cleveland right now, there's a little bit of like what's missing. I think Dante has that. He has that special playmaking ability inside of him, and he doesn't unleash it all the time, but you saw it on like a 40-yard run against Iowa this past weekend.
By the way, you've been joined by somebody behind you, the couch. Who is the it's one of your slot receivers.
It's my 2-year-old Gia. Gia, come out here. Come on.
Come on, Gia. Come on, Gia.
Gia. She's over there playing with the Funko Pop. She's having a good time.
That is awesome. Hey, great stuff as always, my man. Thank you, Robert.
Appreciate you, Colin. God bless, brother.
All right, thank you. Really good stuff. The Aaron Rodgers stuff is fascinating. All right. J-Mac with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
All right, let's go to the Buffalo Bills, Colin. Brutal loss for them to Miami on the road. Now, the reports coming out that Josh Allen was down with the South Beach flu, so maybe this should be excused. He was quite bad. The brutal red zone pick, the fumble. My guy James Cook did not cook, had a bad fumble. It was just an all-around letdown performance, which shouldn't surprise people. We try to educate the folks, don't we, Colin? Hey, you beat the Chiefs. There probably is going to be a letdown against Miami. Anyway, here's Josh Allen on his team's gross performance.
They came ready to play. They wanted it, obviously, a little more than us. I got to be better. I'd be better in the protection game, in the pass game, in the run game, all of it. It's anytime you turn it over 3 times, 2 in the red zone, and really you could count that last one, driving, kind of going into the red zone. So that's a recipe for disaster.
It was 90 degrees in Miami, Colin. A little hot under the collar for Josh and company.
Well, I get that. I mean, I do get the northern teams come down and it's hot. Like I do get, but it just, to me, no energy. I mean, you have to account for that. Like if guys, it's going to be hot, we're going to wear out. Then you have to have a great first quarter. You got to just sell to your team. We got to come out. We're going to have 12 scripted plays. We got to be dialed in because we're going to fade in this weather. We don't plan this weather. We don't practice in it. But to be just outmanned 16-0 at half with Josh Allen and James Cook, that's not good enough.
Yeah, they
had 90 yards. They 0 for 6 on third down in the first half. 90 total yards against Miami's D.
Yeah, it was weird. Now, I'm not excusing the Bills, but again, this is a week-to-week league. You know that. Colin? I'm seeing reports that they were down by at the end of the game as many as 5 defensive starters. And Tua looked good other than 2 arm punts. Tua looked pretty good. Waddle looked pretty good. I got to ask you, Tampa Bay at Buffalo this week. Buffalo laying 5.5 at home. What's the lean there? Remember, week-to-week league. Tampa, by the way, got smashed at home by the Patriots. Yeah, it's early. I shouldn't put you on the spot.
Buffalo's my play here.
Yep.
Yeah, Buffalo's my play.
Now, we got to see the injuries. Obviously, they're going to need their defense because Ibuka and Baker, they've got some like mind meld going on that's very good. But I think Tampa's a little overrated, and I think Buffalo bounces back strong. Don't write them off yet, folks. Next up, the Detroit Lions. I can't tell if people are making too much of this or not, but let's get into it here. So Before the game, there was a report from NFL Network that Dan Campbell might be calling the plays. Well, Campbell takes over the play calling. However, there's some dispute as to when it happened. Was it full game? Was it halftime? Anyways, here's Dan Campbell talking about calling plays instead of his OC, John Morton.
I know what I want to do. I know how I want to do it. Now, that being said, this is a collaborative effort now. It was honest. It was he and I, and we were good. And it's like I told him, man, I need you. I need you. And but I feel like, this is something that I'm going to do. And listen, John Morton's all team, man. That's all he cares about.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
Well, listen, at halftime, something seemed to change. Our staff is hot on the idea that Jamison Williams, somebody got the memo at halftime, maybe Dan Campbell, that J-Mo was unhappy. He was force-fed in the second half. Did you see him kind of go off?
Yep, absolutely.
And to a point, they need Jamison Williams to develop. We know Laporta and Amara, Gibbs, Montgomery, but they could use Williams to in the postseason against some of the elite teams. I am curious, though. This was against a Washington team that is total crap. They've given up so many points and yards in the last 4 weeks. They've lost each of those games by 21 or more points. So are you ready to crown Dan Campbell, or do you need to see it next week against, I don't know, the Eagles before we say, yeah, Dan Campbell knows what he's doing?
Well, he knows what he's doing. I think your bigger issue is you lost the best OC in the league, and now you're taking over duties. You can put as much makeup on that story as you want. That's not ideal. That's not what you want.
And Minnesota, Brian Flores had a good game plan last week and kind of bodied them. I don't want to overreact here if I'm Detroit, because, again, this Washington team is rotten. Colin, there's a lot of quit on that team. I think Detroit scored on their first 7 possessions to start the game, just up and down the field.
Washington's the oldest team in the league. Pittsburgh's the second oldest. They're both fading fast.
Ooh, that's a nice hot take.
Or will Pittsburgh bounce back? I feel like Washington, it's over.
It's over.
Pittsburgh could come back next week and win by 14. I don't know what they are.
So I only made one bet last night. Washington, do you want to hear about their game this week? So after that bludgeoning at home, where they were booed off the field, stands were empty in the fourth quarter, Washington goes to Madrid to face the Miami Dolphins. But after Madrid, Washington has a bye week. So I wonder if the wives and girlfriends are like, hey, let's just make it 2 weeks in Europe. Let's stay away from Washington. I think Washington's totally done. I think Miami's the side this week. It's a little early to talk, but when you're hot, you're hot. Any thoughts, Miami, Washington?
Well, Mike McDaniel, a bit of a resurrection. We had him fired 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he's had a couple impressive wins. So remember the coaching staff at Miami. The owner in Miami said, GM is gone. We believe in Mike McDaniel. So he got, now it's a public vote of confidence, but I will say this, by giving the coach a public vote of confidence, he still has leverage with players, or at least some level of respect. Well, they responded. Mm-hmm. So twice since that story came out, Miami's played excellent football. They deserve credit.
Yeah. Final story, Colin, is Monday Night Football. Micah Parsons and the Packers hosting the Eagles. We're on opposite sides here. But we want to remind everybody that Philadelphia made a push to land Micah Parsons when the Cowboys were allegedly thinking they would trade Parsons. Of course, Dallas said they had zero interest in sending him to a division rival. According to a report, Dallas did not want him going to the Eagles so badly. They are included a poison pill condition in the trade, stating that if the Packers send him to any team in the NFC East, it'll cost them a 2028 first-round pick. Jerry Jones really does not want Micah in Philly. So that's a fun little subplot.
Well, I mean, you don't even want to send him to an NFC team. And if you do, you're going to make sure he's not going back to burn you in division. So for years and years, there was kind of a rule. You never trade a star in conference. So the fact that they did that, Dallas is like, okay, we'll do it. You're not sending him to the Giants or the Eagles. It's not gonna work out that. And so I think Green Bay doesn't want to trade him. I mean, they didn't give you all these first-round picks because they're going to move him. And he's a very good player. He's in his prime for the next 5 years. And I think I think Green Bay accepted that for a lot of reasons. It's reasonable, and they're not moving off Micah.
Yeah. If I told you today I see Green Bay and Buffalo in the Super Bowl, you would say?
Not going to happen. If I told you it is Rams in Kansas City, you would say.
I think the Rams pick is good. I don't know if the KC is a playoff team, Colin.
Okay.
I'm sorry. They got Denver this week. Favored bigly on the road.
Okay. J-Mac with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
All sorts of stuff. Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah, Brian Daboll's out in New York. These New York football operations, I mean, the Giants looked at the Jets and said, oh, that worked out so well, firing Saleh mid-season. I think we'll just copy him. Oh, brother, it's the Herd. So Giants fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. The guy that will be the interim former NFL player, Mike Kafka, he's interviewed for several jobs, has not landed those jobs. But Matt Hasselbeck a couple of hours ago on Kafka and the move going forward for the Giants.
They're going to do a full search on anybody on the planet that they think can help get it right. But they have this guy that this is like a little bit of an audition. I mean, he's the guy for the last, like 3 or 4 years. His name surfaces every time because they think that he's a great quarterback whisperer. Let's see. His personality is completely different than Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll's where's his emotion? Like, you see it, you know it. Mike Kafka's not like that. So it's an opportunity for the Giants to see what they have.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, quarterback, NFL, has a connection with Jackson Dart. Let's see how it works. Robert Griffin came on. He's got a different idea for the Giants.
I think they need to get rid of everybody. I don't love the fact that they fired Brian Daboll at this point in the season. You're 2-8. Normally when coaches get fired in season, it's because you already know the guy that you want to go get and you want to get ahead of that, or you're thinking it's going to spark the team. This team is out of the playoffs. But here we are. So I think the only rightful decision for them to make now is to go hire Lane Kiffin as head coach, because that's the only guy that knows Jackson Dart better than any other coach in the NFL and is going to be able to get the best out of him.
Yeah, I'll tell you, strike when the iron is hot. And right now on Lane Kiffin, the iron is hot. If I'm Lane Kiffin's agent, which I'm sure it's Jimmy Sexton, he's everybody's agent in college. I did the NFL. It was a mess. It was old Al Davis and the Raiders. You can always go back to college. Lane Kiffin's young. You can always go back to college. You're not going to get a New York Giants offer again, right? And by the way, Ole Miss, this is about where it's going to be. Kalen DeBoer is not going anywhere at Alabama. Kirby Smart's not an NFL guy. He's got to go to college, as good a college job as you're going to have at Georgia. So Kirby Smart and Kalen DeBoer are humming. Texas A&M has boatloads of money, and everybody loves that coach. Sark's going to probably make it for some time at Texas. So it's a very crowded SEC, or you can go to the NFL. You're going to make a lot of money. You already got your quarterback and you like him. Now, Matt Rule to the NFL didn't work, but I didn't necessarily, first of all, that organization and that owner at that time, highly temperamental, very erratic. The Maras aren't erratic. I don't know if they're highly competent, but they're not erratic. I don't know. I'm just saying, if I was Lane Kiffin, I can come back to college. And Texas A&M's got more money than Ole Miss. Georgia's got more money than Ole Miss. And Alabama's got a much bigger brand than Ole Miss. Well, what about LSU? The governor runs the program. No, thank you. So I'd go pro. I would go to Miami or the Giants if I was Lane Kiffin.
Colin, can I throw a curveball at you? Okay. And I'm not saying that this job is better than the Giants, but the Tennessee Titans job is open. It is in a much more winnable division. Hold on. Because we don't know if the Colts are going to be good. Let's just be real. Do we know Jacksonville's mired in mediocrity and the Texans seem to be flailing? Okay. Philadelphia Eagles are not going anywhere. And Cam Ward was the #1 pick overwhelmingly. Are we sure the Giants job is better than Tennessee? Because the GM right now in New York. I don't know how the hell he's still employed. He has made blunder after blunder, extending Jones, moving off Barkley. I mean, I don't know how he's still got his job. I don't know that I would definitely take the Giants over Tennessee.
Well, you would probably have more pull in Tennessee.
The media in Tennessee, how are they to deal with? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to New York, those guys are rabid. They want wins. They think that this is still a franchise that won a bunch of Super Bowls with Parcells and company.
You know what the New York football operations are now? And like this is understood in the league. You use them to get a better offer. I mean, like Mike Vrabel was rumored to be with the Jets.
Oh, please.
He didn't want to be with the Jets. He wanted the Patriots job and Josh McDaniel. That's what people do in this league. Harbaugh was, rumored. Oh, Jim Harbaugh, New York. New York football operations are used by the top guys to end up going places that are better jobs.
Just like the New York Knicks for years. Remember all the Kevin Durant, LeBron, all this stuff. They were never going to go play for Dolan. And now you got Woody Johnson and the Mara family. And but honestly, how many wins did you say in the playoffs for the Giants in the last decade? Is it one?
Yeah.
The Daniel Jones win over Minnesota. Yeah. I just don't think it's as great of a job as everybody else does.
Well, no, I think, listen, there are, in the NFL, the job is as good as the quarterback. If you have a quarterback that's good in his prime, like when Mike McCarthy got the Packers job, that was a great job. Aaron Rodgers, late prime. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
I think Mike McCarthy getting Dak, that's a really good job. Harbaugh getting Herbert, that's an A job. But most jobs, that's what I'm saying. Jackson Dart in the building, and you've coached him for 3 years, Lane Kiffin. That's a pretty good gig.
Let me ask you, what's the ceiling on Jackson Dart? Can he be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL?
At this current time, he can't stay out of the tent.
So he can't really be. So
no.
I know people are going to be like, you're an idiot. That's fine. I would rather have draft picks galore like the Jets than be wedded to, well, let's see what Jackson Dart's got for another year. Okay,
listen,
I'm sorry.
Whoever gets Fernando Mendoza from Indiana, that is an A prospect.
I like him a lot.
He is a
nice drive against Penn State.
First of all, brainiac, major league size, big boy arm. And he can move enough. He's an A prospect. Like Caleb was an A prospect. Drake May was an A prospect.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels was great, but he was spindly, and we worried about that. Jackson Dart's a B prospect. Cam Ward, probably a B-plus prospect. You don't get many A's. You get about every other year. Joe Burrow was an A prospect. Peyton Manning was an A prospect. You don't get a lot of A prospects. Most of these guys, to me, they're all B prospects. I like Dante Moore. Mendoza's an A prospect.
He's got multiple years of starting, though, Mendoza.
Well, he's also big with an A arm.
Yes. Moore and Simpson, I like Simpson a lot, but it's 1 year. Is he a 22, 23-year-old
first
super senior dominating young guys?
Ty Simpson, when he was at Alabama, he didn't play much for 3 years. Yeah. For 3 years, if you were all that, 29 of 55 with no touchdowns. He was a 55% completion guy. He was
backup duty. Yeah.
Or 48, 50, yeah. He just wasn't. And all of a sudden now he gets DeBoer, the right OC, the right receivers. Mendoza's doing it with B-level talent. They don't have a lot of five-star guys at Indiana.
Yeah. And here's the best part if you're the Jets, not to take it away from the Giants. You draft Mendoza and you don't like what you see, and Aaron Glenn doesn't work, you just move on. You got 3 picks in the first round the following year. So, which apparently is a really loaded draft.
I don't say this very often. Mendoza's going to work.
I like to think he would.
Yeah, that's an NFL quarterback. Mendoza's an NFL. If he goes drafted number 1 or 2, you're like, yeah, that's what it should look like.
Can we see him against the Ohio State defense, which is freaking elite?
Nobody is going to move the ball in Ohio State.
Well, I want to see him do it. Can he do it? Can he?
No.
You don't think he's going to be able to at least be competitive in that game?
Competitive? Competitive, but I don't think he's going to move the ball particularly well against Ohio State. Well, Ohio State's got one of the best defenses in the last 15 years.
If he vomits all over himself, 9 of 25, 75 yards passing, I think then we got some real questions because that defense has some NFL dudes on it.
Well,
Penn State's defense.
We saw Indiana play Notre Dame last year. Who had better players? And Ohio State's got defensively much better players than Notre Dame had last year.
Yeah. By the way, Notre Dame's a sneaky team to go deep in the college football playoff. They are built. Great coach.
How good is that running back Love? Jeremiah Love.
He's awesome. Oh, by the way, New York Giants, do you at least call Marcus Freeman?
Absolutely.
I think you have to. You have to. I think if you have an NFL opening, you've got to ask Marcus Freeman. He's probably not going to take it, but he is. I just think that guy's freaking awesome. One of the best coaches in the country.
All right, good stuff today. Tonight's Packers, Eagles. I like Philly. I think getting Jalen Phillips. I think they grabbed a corner. Jair Alexander, was that?
I don't know if he's going to play tonight. But yeah, they had some pickups. I'll go Packers 27-23. Your score?
Reverse it, Philly 27-23. So I had a winning blazing 5 week. I took all favorites. I took it. One underdog I took did not work. I took 4 favorites. 3 of them won, and I took the Steelers last night, and that wasn't even competitive.
Is that 5 straight winning weeks for you?
No, no. It's I was 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, 2-3, 3-2.
Oh, okay. Hey,
but
nice that you remember all of your weeks, Colin. Huh?
Especially
you do that when you're hot,
ones.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody remembers the start of last season.
For the record, I didn't love the numbers last week. If you've seen the numbers today, it's a pretty.
You mean the lines?
The lines, yes.
Yeah. The Patriots are huge favorites against the Jets on Thursday Night Football.
6 of 7 winning weeks for Blazing 5. 6 of 7 winning weeks.
Glad the staff is all over that. There's some real. I'm just telling you, this weekend coming up, cancel your Sunday plans. No brunch for you in Chi-Town.
No, there's some good ones. There are some. Hey,
amazing.
Seattle at the Rams, game of the year.
NFC Championship preview.
Yeah, Seahawks at Rams, game of the year in the NFL. At least the NFC.